Good day, Lords and ladies, and welcome back to Battle Brothers me, Cornish-Knight. Now, this this commentary is going to be slightly out of sync with the video, unfortunately, because this is post-commentary, as I had a Windows update, and it decided that it wanted to reset all my recording settings. So, I obviously had not ticked a box or found a button within my Bandicam recording software, because when I recorded it, it recorded the game audio twice, and not my commentary. So, as you can see here, we are getting ready to deal with the Orc War Boss. My party is slightly underleveled for this, unfortunately. I don't have a lot of armor-piercing weapons with me besides war picks, also known as crow's beaks, and a single warhammer and a pole hammer, or pole arm, or warhammer. It's not really warhammer, it's more like a pole hammer, so it's very interesting. The category of pole weapons in real medieval periods tends to be quite varied and wide. As a result, there's a lot of confusing. Pole arms, don't just love them. Right, so get everything set up. We have a relatively solid composition. Let's see if we can get this done. We're going up against a war boss. As one of my viewers has previously mentioned, this is going to be a relatively easy fight. As, well, not easy fight, but straightforward fight. He hasn't got any of the elite guard, he hasn't got any of his orc warriors or berserkers or elite goblin units. So it's just going to be some normal goblin skirmishers, a couple of orc young'uns, well, a few orc young'uns, and the war boss. So all we have to really do is get rid of his support, or at least kill off as many of the orcs as possible. The goblins will be annoying, but we should be able to deal with them. In he comes. Big boy that he is. Right. Unfortunately, that was supposed to be a message there, but we missed it, which is a pain. As you can see, we've got a lot of footmen helping us. Some skirmishers, many orc young. Nothing that we shouldn't not be able to handle, but we should see what we do. This map is a relatively... It's not the worst map I have fought orc war bosses on. I fought them on side of mountains before, which has sucked. This is a bit annoying though, because the terrain height has made it so that it will funnel us into a kill box, and as always my luck is terrible, so we lose height advantage. Well, we're going to have to move to height advantage straight away. Goblins, orcs trying to flank. Let's start trying to kill some of the orcs, because we want to try and kill as many of them as possible. Right, sealed up. Yeah, my plan for this was really simple, which was to try and kill off as many of the supporting units as possible while keeping control of the high ground. I was hoping that we could kill off as many supporting units, because it meant that then we could just gang up on the Orc War Boss, and though he has some of the most armor in the game, you can quite attack. What's the term I'm looking for? Attack economy. So yeah, that's it. Attack economy in this game is as such that it doesn't matter how really powerful a unit you are. If you're swarmed by a large number of low-level units with more attacks than you, you'll eventually get taken down, especially if your armor gets destroyed. Once your armor gets destroyed, it's just down to an HP pool, and to be honest, that is never a particularly good thing to rely upon. And as always, yes, there goes. There's the Orc War Boss. I was hoping that he's going to go down the middle here at this point, which is why I'm setting up most of my anti-armor units in the middle to try and bait him forward. I'm also really hoping that the orcs don't try and flank us, because that would be a real pain to deal with. Yeah, there we go. Out there come their attacks. At this point I'm relying on the men-at-arms to basically eat a lot of the standard attacks. That was really strange. I don't know what happened there, it might have been a bug. So trying to figure out who to hit. Like, goblins are obscenely evasive when it comes to range attacks. Almost to an obscene amount. As a lot of people have said, that I still I still stand by my opinion that goblins are very overpowered in this game. I mean, I'll happily fight orcs. I'll happily fight undead. I mean, I'll even consider fighting vampires. But if you come up against a big goblin stack, it's more than just annoying. Trying to kill off the goblin there. Trying to kill as many of the goblins as possible. I missed, and I still managed to hit a target, which was nice. I missed, but yeah. Still managed to get a hit in. Right. There, when I moved previously, I moved my Warhammer, well, my Warhammer user into that position. Might have been a bad idea because it obviously tempted the Orc Warboss to come out. But we are starting to churn through his units. Start trying to soften up the Orc Warboss. With not a lot of success. My RNG in this game, as of late, has been terrible. Right. That goblin's going to be a pain. Those guys are going to kill off that war dog relatively quickly. Problem with goblins is that they have really high chance of getting your guys, because if they have daggers, they have really high melee skill, so they can normally bypass the armor and hit you in the health pool, which always sucks. Let's try and hit the Orc Warboss. I put the poison on for that exact reason. Yeah, this is gonna be nasty. I pulled him up to there so that we could try and tempt him to go further in, and then we could surround him. Unfortunately, he went for that unit, which I wasn't particularly happy with, but still, it worked to a greater or lesser extent. We managed to draw the Orc Warboss into a trap. We hopefully kill off enough of his subordinates. I make a mistake here, which is that I get a bit too confident and move my units too far out. Get the poison up. Managed to kill him, which was nice. Missed that goblin. Move him up to there so we can start shooting at the boss and just start chipping away at his armor. I wish I'd had a dedicated crossbow unit. This is one of the weaknesses of my group at the moment, is that I don't have a dedicated crossbow unit. And with the patches and stuff that have been done, crossbows are very useful against both armor, which they always were, and the undead. He manages to miss that hit, which is soul destroying for me. We managed to kill that guy though, which is useful because it breaks a lot of the morale of the surrounding units. And we're starting to chip through the orc's armor. Right. I don't want to bring him down off that hill. A good tactic here would have been, which is what I did, was to move him up there to help the support. So what's happening is that the green skins are just going to start rolling up the terrain and fighting me on the slope, which is not good for me. In hindsight, I shouldn't have put my spearmen there. Yep. This is not a good encounter. Do a lot of missing. And now this is the point where I'm trying to weigh up if to chuck him into melee with the Orc Warboss, and I do. The problem is at this point the men at arms all decide that it's better just to go and riposte, which is not fantastic. goblins. Don't you just hate their ability to dodge everything? He's blocking. Fortunately, we got rid of a lot of his armour at that point, so it meant that we had a good amount of people whacking on him. He took a good whack. Don't know why he didn't do damage, though. He might have an ability that absorbed it. Move him up to there to try and fight the orc off that's up there. Get some good hits in. Get a lot of the men-at-arms just swinging around. Ooh, he died, which affected our morale. That's the orc's war boss ability, well, war shout ability going off, which rallied that orc, unfortunately. Yeah. As you can see, they're putting up a real fight. Need to kill that goblin because it's tying down lots of units, which is why I sent him over there. This fight on here is not going particularly well, unfortunately. I am facing the fact that now I got range units out of location, and I really need to kill this orc war boss. Partly because I want the achievement for myself, you see, because it's a nice achievement to get for killing the war boss, but also because I really can't afford to lose units. Now that's my mistake there. I should have knocked him down to a lower level. And this is my second mistake. I should have sealed guarded straight away. Now that orc has to die. The thing is, I really want the achievement for killing this war boss at this particular point in time. So I was thinking, should I just try and take an attack of opportunity and move? And I thought, no. And luckily, I get lucky and I managed to kill the war boss with one of my range units, which is fantastic. Now, the problem we have up here is that we have this guy, and I just think, oh, it's over, we've won, but he gets a couple of really good hits in, and I start to get worried that I'm about to lose one of my units. So, after rapidly clearing up the mess down here, I start moving units up towards that fight as quickly as possible, but not as quickly as I could have, unfortunately. One of my flaws is that I'm always a bit slow to redeploy my troops, especially if I'm confident of victory. I tend to get a bit lackluster with my attention, or at least my my assumptions. For example, here I should have just shield blocked, which I did, but I missed a second attack. And so instead of relocating all of my troops, I just waste turns. Really, I should have redeployed all of my troops as soon as the fight with the orc war boss was over, so my guys had the best chance to escape from this particular situation. Because that orc is going to be double-handing that hatchet. Fortunately, he starts beating out one of the militiamen, so it's not a huge loss. But we are making relatively good progress. Right, so he takes care of those guys, and then all we got left is the goblin. And I really want the goblin dead by this point. I don't want any survivors. So I'm taking care of business as quickly as possible. I am of the belief, I still am, that this particular mission is a flag towards the end of the Orc Crisis event, which is that if you get it, it tends to be the herald for ending the event if you're winning. So we've got a legendary weapon, Setups Mutilator. It's not great. It's okay, it's a cleaver, 40 to 70 damage, but max fatigue minus 18 and a plus 5 fatigue for every time you use it. It's not a particularly good, great weapon. Code of Kurnos, Triumph of the Orc Warlord, is dead and in the mud, and his army is scattered to the hills. This is the result of your employer. Well, this will result in your employer being happy with you, which is very good. So the bloke that managed to kill the Orc War Boss is developing very nicely. He's level 7 with a 64 ballistic skill, which is not too bad. A bit of initiative and some more morale, because his morale is always the one that gets tanked. The reason I gave him more initiative was I was trying to get the Overwhelm to kick in. But I can pick up Berserker just so he gets an extra attack. More ballistic skill, more range defense. And I grab some more initiative. The problem is his initiative is rather poor. I grab it anyway because on the turns when you're fighting enemies that have a lot of armor and great weapons, they're normally low in the turn order. So you can overwhelm them still, even if you've got average initiative. I was going with a bit of a different build for these guys. Normally I go straight into... I don't get overwhelmed, I get a fear ability. I get Killing Frenzy and the fear ability, but the thing is that we've already had the Orc Crisis, which is one of the better uses of that ability. So I'm probably going to get Killing Frenzy and 9 Lives as my 2 Larks Purse for him, so he's not going to be as useful as he was as my normal archer. So I normally have a combination of damage reduction with the heavy armor perk and various bits and pieces there. The new guy gets some generic equipment. To be honest, I have found that the cultist background is okay. The cultist units you get are a very mixed bag. They're either good, or they're just around average, which is a problem considering that earlier on in the campaign you always have problems with morale with the cultist background, because you can't keep a lot of non-cultist members for long. We turn the quest, we get paid, which is fantastic. Now at this point I am just assuming that the Orc Crisis is going to end. It doesn't straight away, unfortunately. It does mean I'm going to have to take some more hunter-killer missions. I just think you had to kill enough stuff to just to break the back of the Greenskin Horde. I'm definitely not interested in going and raiding any of their settlements, because that's a death sentence, and you need a really high-level party for that. You need stuff like a lot of people wearing heavy armor and great weapons. The thing is, I'm not a fan of the heavy armor and great weapons splurge that you see a lot of high-level parties do, which is that you get to a point where everyone is just wearing heavy armor, super heavy armor, like 220 armor points, plus heavy helmets, great weapons, and they basically just sort of all space themselves out and start swinging, which is something I find really... I don't like that style of play. It makes the game really quite dull, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to eat a ton of damage with this armor, and every turn I'm going to swing with a great weapon. I'd rather have a really strong shield line and just clear up after myself with a back line of either pole arms or great weapons. But that's just me. And we're just doing a road patrol. Road patrol are useful because if you get the event where you get the road patrol, it's not a feat, it's a modifier to a settlement. So I said modifier to settlement. You get the road patrolled modifier, which means that a lot of stuff is cheaper for you to buy, and people buy stuff a lot more willingly at a better price, which is nice. At this point, I'm just sort of switching my units around and making sure that my back rank... I'm starting to use some of my guys with a mixed role of polearm and bow, just because obviously my guys aren't fantastic in the front rank. They're good at holding, but that's about it. They haven't got great attack values. So... And we have some really nice units like jesters and stuff like that. But once again, if you haven't got the peasant or lowborn background like class, like the stuff like butcher, poacher, builder, like it's the general working class roles that you imagine. So it's those kind of roles you can convert with the cultist event, or if you have a noble with the dumb trait. But stuff like Jester, you can never convert. Stuff like Caravan Guard, you can never convert. You can convert people like thieves and grave robbers and stuff because they come into the lowborn background. But to be honest, it's one of the things I found really a shame that it's like I do believe you should have an event that allows you to convert non-lowborn mob or NPCs to your faction. Just besides that, they haven't had a dumb trait, because history has shown that like one of the easiest ways to get a region to switch faith or switch allegiances is to basically go after the after the like noble class and merchant class. I had a quick fight here as well. I'm trying to gather as many heads as possible. Not only because it helps us with the objective, but it will mean we'll get a nice payday as well. And we're going to need it. We're going to need to upgrade our troops quite a lot. My gear is a bit lacking. I need to get some better equipment. And this is a good way for us to get a lot of cash. Standard setup for fighting orcs. Spear wall on the side so that you funnel them towards the centre. One thing I don't like is the amount of orc axes. Orc axes are out of a lot of the weapons you meet early game. Orc axes are brutal, especially if they're either two-handing them or using them for shield. They do a lot of damage and they're very unpleasant, which is why I'm punishing that bloke who's two-handing that orc axe, because he is a monster. So I missed a second shot, which is annoying. And they got a charge. But we should be able to take care of it. This has been I enjoy Battle Brothers, especially on like what they consider it a lower difficulty, but I consider it like a normal difficulty. The RNG in this game is very brutal, so the reason I play on beginner settings is because it allows you to have fun without having to do a lot of basically metagaming. There was a lot of metagaming, especially in earlier builds, where you didn't take that kind of weapon past this level, you didn't take that kind of skill combo past this level. If you didn't take that particular skill combo, it led to issues down the line. And I don't like that. I like having the chance to experiment and try nice things. For example, in this particular playthrough, I'm doing a lot of multi-role back ranks, so having a mixture of polearms and range units, like on the same mercenary, which is not something I normally do. I normally just have a very dedicated back rank. But I like this particular setup. It seems to be working well when I remember to do it. That is. Sometimes I forget. I'm still not quite used to it. Especially, I'm also not used to Overwhelm. I'm not someone who ever really used Overwhelm that much. Yeah, trying to desperately kill off all the axe-wielding orcs, because I really hate axes. Killed him, fantastic. Gave him a really good smash up, killed him as well. At this point, this is the thing that I find really interesting in Orc AI, is that normally Orc AI would, like enemy AI would stipulate that you basically would have to retreat at this point because your numbers are greatly reduced. But this time it seemed that they seem to vary. I've met Orc warbands where you've killed like below 2/3 of their force, and instead of fleeing, they've just gone completely like kamikaze and just started attacking you without trying to fall back. And then you have other times where they just completely flee. So there must be different algorithms. That was lucky, because that shot was very lucky, because I mistimed it. I forgot that he wasn't standing right behind. So this fight relatively is getting cleared up now, folks. I'm going to give a heads up, both this episode and the next episode are going to have post commentary, because I didn't catch the glitch in time, as it were. which is unfortunate. So yeah, you're going to have to listen to me doing voiceovers for the next 2 episodes. There's the Safe Roads modifier, which is always lovely to see. Warehouse Fire is a bit annoying though. Makes everything more expensive. But anyway, folks, as always, if you have liked, please press the like button. If you wish to subscribe, please press the subscription button. You can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Steam, or you can leave a comment in the comment section and I shall get back in contact with you. I've been Cornish-Knight, this has been Battle Brothers, and I shall see you all again next time. And I do hope you have enjoyed watching this Let's Play of Battle Brothers Warriors of the North DLC. Goodbye, folks.